Hey guys, this is Jay. Up next we have the Borgeson upper steering shaft. Again, this is largely just a stock replacement part, and it's also one that my truck doesn't particularly need. As I'll show you, the stock shaft is still in pretty good shape. But one of my goals with all this stuff that I'm doing to my truck is to make people aware of what parts are out there if you are having issues. And particularly the upper steering shaft in these trucks is known for a pretty severe clunking, and I guess also some play in the steering. And so that's why this is only the upper steering shaft from Borgeson. They don't actually make a lower steering shaft because they said they haven't seen any issues with that. So this is an all steel construction, and this is a much more robust U-joint up here. And another thing to note, I have painted it black. It comes in raw steel, which looks nice. I wish I didn't have to paint it, but it would rust otherwise. But yeah, this is a direct factory drop-in, still collapses for safety, of course, and also ease of installation. But comparing it to the stock shaft here, we can see that the portion up here where the U-joint is, though of course the U-joint is the same size, the top yoke is aluminum, and the bottom yoke is a much smaller steel yoke. So if you do have clunking in your steering, then it's likely this shaft going bad, and the Borgeson unit here is an excellent replacement for it. And you know, you can get a cheapo replacement on Rock Auto for a lot less than the Borgeson shaft. This was a couple $100, but the reliability and US made U-joints and all steel construction here is worth the extra money. So I'll get it on the truck and show you how it feels. Another thing I wanted to note about the factory steering shaft is that you do have to pull the steering column seal off of the firewall to remove this. So it's best to just grab another one off of Rock Auto whenever you do that. Probably even more importantly than that is the nuts that hold this thing to the firewall are not really nuts at all. They're like a stamped piece of sheet metal with one thread on it. And be careful when you remove those, because if you drop one, you're not going to hear it when it falls, because there's one of them hiding somewhere in my truck right now that I'm going to need to replace. But yeah, that should be everything you need to know to get this upper steering shaft installed for Borgeson.
When removing the upper steering shaft from the steering wheel, all you have to do is take that nut off. The bolt is actually welded to a clip, so once the nut comes off, the bolt will lift up and out through the shaft. You don't have to hold that in place. You don't have to hold the bolt in place whenever you're removing the nut, because that clip will keep it there. The most critical part of this is that if you remove the shaft from the steering wheel can free spin. However, there is a coil in there that controls the airbag that will get damaged if you turn the steering wheel. So it is critical that at any point that the steering shaft is disconnected from the steering wheel, you do not turn the steering wheel. I'll show you the coil that had to get replaced, since I did end up turning the steering wheel after I removed the shaft from the back of it.
Here's that coil I was talking about. You can see how the center portion connects to the steering shaft while the outside portion bolts to something in the steering column. Evidently, even though this can spin freely, there is a limit to its travel. So yeah, you might be able to get away with turning the steering wheel slightly, but if you're a little child on the inside like me and enjoy a free spinning steering wheel, don't enjoy that on your truck, because you won't enjoy having to replace this at the dealership. So yeah, fair warning, please don't turn the steering wheel. Well, this was certainly the shortest video in the upgrade lowdown series that I'm doing right now. Like I said earlier, this upper steering shaft on my truck really didn't even need to be replaced. I was just getting this Borgeson one to make sure you all know what is available out there if you are having the clunking problem in your upper steering shaft. I don't know the specific issue, but I'm assuming, based on the construction of the factory one, that the clunking comes from that aluminum upper yoke getting loose on the U-joint. So this Borgeson one being completely made out of steel is very comforting, just to know that I'm not going to have that issue in the future. And I would imagine that issue with that U-joint starting to clunk would get magnified if your truck is set up with larger wheels and tires, since you're going to be putting more force into that steering shaft. But yeah, as always,
thanks for watching, and remember, if it's smoking,
it's broken.